Welcome to episode 141 of the Narcissistic Music Disorder.
What's up, buddy? Good morning to you. Since we do this in the morning, I guess. How's everything, Scott? Good?
Good.
Yeah. Tell me what's happening today. Today is yet another special day for us, correct?
It is. We're joined by our friend from the Great Affairs and let's see, the Die Youngs. There's too many to mention. His primary band is the Great Affairs, Mr. Kenny Wright.
Dude, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. As so we've had a couple of your band members from Great Affairs on. So we have to preface this with you guys, okay? So I'm going to tell you to get ready to be uncomfortable for a second because we're going to have to talk about your band, and Scott and I are definitely fanatical about it. You guys, I think, I just think the Great Affairs are making some of the best music out there right now. I'm such a fan. I love, there are bands I like musically. Like I go, oh man, the drums are kick ass or the guitars sound great, or, there's that end of a band. And then there's the songwriting end of a band. And I'll find bands I like parts of, it's like, man, they all play really great, but yeah, the songs aren't great. It seems like it's an avenue for their, these great sounds, or vice versa. Yeah, you're a singer-songwriter, but this isn't that strong. The Great Affairs are like the total package for me. The songs are phenomenal. The vocals are phenomenal. Lyrics,
Riffs, hooks for days.
For days, dude. Tones, drum sounds,
Production.
grooves, everything. So we are just so happy you're here, man. Thank you for doing this.
I'm glad to be here. I appreciate to hear all this wonderful things.
So in the Great Affairs, you are not only the drummer, right? You drum for the Great Affairs, you sing in the Great Affairs, and you write in the Great Affairs too. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Are drums your primary? Is that your primary instrument?
It has been for a long time, but I started out primarily as a guitar player, singer, but I just, when all the, wheedle started, I was never that kind of a
God, I should have been a drummer then.
And I just thought, I have a certain amount of aptitude, I guess, for drums, so I just kind of switched over and started getting work.
Yeah, right away, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so I thought, well, the hell with guitar, man. So I still play guitar, but not, I leave the heavy lifting to everybody else. And so,
well, you guys have some guitar firepower in the Great Affairs, for sure.
We do, they don't need me.
But again, as a guitar player, and trust me, I should probably be playing anything but guitar, because the wheel is not my bit either. But as a guitar player, even songwriter, whatever, groove is nobody, like I've told even my son, like nobody dances to the guitar solo, dude, right? It's like you're in the engine room, you're making it happen. And the groove are you a Bonham guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I can feel that in the kick drum.
Sitting right on top of the list.
And you're certainly a Peter Criss guy.
Yeah, not so much for his amazing chops or anything, but just the swing that he brought to that band, man. It was so cool. They wouldn't have been what they were had it not been for him,
Well, and we heard like subsequent drummers through Kiss, and God bless them all, from Eric Carr to Eric Singer, great drummers. But there's something really special about that early Kiss stuff with Peter Criss on it. And he's a jazz dude. He's a jazzer. I had, and I'm sure you have too, Kenny, as a fan. I've read Paul's book and Gene's book, and there were Paul's book especially was critical at times of Peter Criss, and I didn't get that, because I think they built that band on. They're great songs, right? But you play those songs differently, and even the the stupid stuff, not stupid stuff, but like the stuff that a guy like me could appreciate, the little drum break in Ladies Room, I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever, man. And I can pretend to do it, So that's killer. So we're so glad to have you. And hey, Scott, I'm going to put you on the spot, NMD style. You ready?
Yeah.
You think you're up for this?
Possibly.
What's your favorite Great Affairs song right now?
My favorite Great Affair song ever is Unfound, easily.
Okay. So I hover. I hover because I'm trying to think of what song hooked me, and I actually think it was Sherry Baby. I think I saw that, like a YouTube video of it.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a video.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube. I think different bass player.
Mm-hmm.
Henry
Was it
Go,
different
maybe?
different guitar player too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick.
Patrick was playing guitar at the time, and Henry Go was playing bass.
Yeah, really. So maybe that's what hooked me. So I always have a lot of love for that. I have um I'm All Right is still just killer.
Yeah.
Man, it's Scott, it's hard for me to pick.
Right now, it's Stevie,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
which
That one's
is
a
your
lot
song,
fun.
right, Kenny?
I didn't write that. Denny wrote it, but
Denny wrote it. Okay.
I sing it on the record.
Yeah, you
How
sang it.
And live.
how does that work for you guys? Like, do you typically sing what you write?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. But
Which is so cool.
in the case of that record, it was just we had so many songs, and some of the things that I had brought in were a little late to the game, and we were already sort of, um, Corey was new to the band at the time, and so just in an effort to not complicate things further, we just kind of went with the songs that we already decided we were going to go with, and but I only had a couple of vocals on the record, so Denny suggested I sing that just so I get another vocal on there, which was very nice of him to do. So I did the best I could do with it, man.
Well, you guys, I sometimes, not that I think now I've developed the ear for your guys' voices. I can kind of tell who's who. But I will say this. I think I sent Denny a message one time, like, and I forget the song now. I was like, man, so great song, fucking vocals are kick ass vocals. Yeah, man, that's Kenny.
Yeah, because I remember you said, "That's your drummer?"
Yeah, it's like, geez, what do you guys got over there? That's great. Yeah, and the other thing I have to talk about too, and this is again on this podcast, dude, we are going to take some side streets that might not relate to the topic at all. But this is a curiosity thing for me. Do you wrap your own? You must wrap your own drum sets.
Oh, if you're talking about the Kiss one,
You know I am. Yes,
yeah,
I am.
I did. I've got two that I did. One I did. Somebody traded me a drum set. This had to be 35 years ago or something, probably, it was, it was not a particularly good drum set. So I just took the wrap off and did it with Kiss pictures, and then I put some like clear plastic over the top of it. It was more for a novelty, but man, I was on the road with that drum kit for 15 years. That thing's been all over the world with me, and I finally just kind of wore it out. So it's in storage now. But I made another one. This time I polyurethaned it instead of using the plastic.
It's so cool looking, man.
Thanks, man. I get a lot of questions and compliments about that. If you get right up on it, you can tell I did it myself. But from the audience, it looks pretty good, man.
Dude, every picture I've seen, I'm like, what is that? Like a custom drum set? Like,
I did that. Yeah,
that's the coolest, man. And we should say, are you in? I mean, can I safely say that you personally are a Kiss fanatic?
Yeah, man. From the get-go, man, I got turned on to them in '76 by my older cousin, and really, I know people say this about all kinds of stuff, but that's a quintessential moment in my life where my life really did change.
They were everywhere.
Yeah, and it never wore off for me. I mean, over the last 20 years or whatever, they've been kind of a parody
it's waned.
themselves,
it's
but
waned.
I just try to ignore all that crap and remember that they used to be the greatest band in the world, man. So
well, and Scott, you're not a huge Kiss fan.
I'm new, so
my Kiss story is, I was in my buddy's basement. I got these two friends I grew up with who had a bunch of 45s that I got to think an uncle left or someone left there in their basement. And we did that, so we were, a lot of Beach Boys, a lot of Jan and Dean. I don't know what this dude's obsession. It was surf music. It was a lot of that, which was great. A lot of Beatles. We were Beatle guys, but we were Kiss people, of course, because it was the 70s. And that's what, kids like us in middle America did. so grew up loving Kiss. Well, I went and wood shop. I met this buddy in junior high, and he's a Kiss fanatic. When you meet one of those people, you're now you got someone to talk to.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I meet this guy. We're talking. He's a Kiss fanatic, and of course, at that time, we're talking about when they had makeup. This is probably 80s era. So you're talking, probably Animalize era, maybe Lick It Up, that kind of stuff. But man, if they had their makeup on and you could see that show, can you imagine? Jump forward. I'm a grown ass man laying in bed one morning, hungover as I could be. Phone rings, and it's this my buddy Chris from junior high, who goes, "Hey man, I got us tickets." I'm like, "Tickets for what?" He goes, "Kiss, Tiger Stadium." They put the makeup on. We made a vow in 7th grade, and I bought us tickets. And sure enough, we went after this 7th grade commitment. If they ever get back together to, whatever it was, 96, we went and saw Kiss. So yeah, what a killer band. It's Beatle bass lines and cool harmonies, just with explosions and shit. And everything's a little bit better with explosions, I would think. So, Scott, what's the layout of the show? Today's a pick 5 show, correct?
Yeah, pick 5. We're gonna do rock, pop, or power pop, and country, R&B, hip hop, whatever you want there, and an NMD record. Yep.
An NMD record, for obviously everyone listening has the disease, but that's the record that is kind of pretty obscure, and yet you love it, and you got to talk to people about
one
it.
That's just near and dear to you.
Yeah, and make parties uncomfortable, and make people not want to talk to you about shit like that. I was just Friday night. I went to an after party. The school I work at had a prom. We had an after party, and there was a lot of music playing, and it was good music. Like these people who I work with, this couple, real hip. So it was like Allman Brothers, and yet I still heard, Pure Prairie League and Running on Empty and all that. And I fought, dude, as hard as I could. I was real proud of myself to not start talking about it, to like let it play in the background like people wanted, to not go, "Hey, David Lindley, you guys, everyone sit down." Okay, Merchant, we'll talk to you later then, dude. I used to get thrown out for being loaded. Now I get thrown out for shit like that. All right, so we're gonna you want to kick off with our rock pick, Scott?
Yeah.
And we'll have our guest Kenny. What's your rock record that you would recommend?
Well, I got to preface any of these things by saying, when you asked me to pick a record, like choosing your favorite kid or whatever,
absolutely.
I just kind of dartboarded this shit in a lot of things. So, man, I went with the Nazareth, the Loud and Proud album. That's one of my favorite Nazareth records, and I just think it's one of those records that sounds like they went in to the studio on a weekend and came out on Sunday with their fucking record done, man. Every song has the same guitar tone. Every song has the same drum sound. All the songs are just bam, 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 bam. And man, all the songs are great on there. That Ballad of Hollis Brown is a little at the end. Sometimes I skip that one, but just for continuity's sake, usually not. But I went back and listened to it a couple days ago just to make sure that I wasn't crazy and how much I I'm not crazy, man. It's just a good record, man. There's nothing bad I can say about that record.
There's a handful of bands like Nazareth of that era too that are kind of, you can't really say Nazareth is under the radar. I mean, it's Nazareth. Most people know that, but there's a handful of those bands that just you could count on. Like you could count on a Nazareth record. You could put a Nazareth record on and count on it. It was going to rock.
Every 9 months, tour, another record, tour, just like everybody did in the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the difference, I think, is what you said, is that if that, that continuity of drum sound, guitar sound, whatever, they probably did it in less time, because the problem in the 70s was, let's on this track, let's get a whole new drum set up, and we'll move it out here to this, to this mansion, and we'll wire that shit up, and we'll record that there while you're getting the didgeridoos and the sitars together,
Yeah. It's just standard Roger Glover, production, bass, guitar, drums, and his screeching vocals, which I'm a huge Dan McCaffrey fan.
Rock and roll.
Yeah,
rock and roll.
Man, they were at the top of their game, in my opinion, on that record. So
great band. Good opener.
73 was a great year.
Scott, you got a lot of pressure on you, buddy.
Mine is a record from a band called Big Sugar.
Why do I know
They're
that
from
name?
Toronto. It's a bluesy band. If you care about his opinion, Jack White says this is the greatest blues band to ever come out of Canada.
Give me a year.
1993, this record came out. It's
Anybody, any
called
members I would
um,
know?
it's called 500 Pounds. What's that?
Any members I would know?
Gordy Johnson is the lead singer and guitar player. He's also in a band that was out of Texas, I believe, called Grady.
Hmm.
They did 3 records.
I got nothing. I got
Like
nothing over here.
that was
Yeah,
like a
nothing over
southern
here.
rock band. Big Sugar is still active as far as I know. I think the last record came out in 2020.
Okay.
But just I saw them accidentally. There was a local paper in Grand Rapids called Music Review,
Yeah, I remember that.
and they said that this band called Thought Industry was playing at the Reptile House, and we love Thought Industry, so Jeff and I went to the Reptile House. Well, it was wrong. The paper was wrong. It
Oh,
was this band Big Sugar. So we're like, well, we're here, so let's
oh,
go
cool.
in. There was nobody there, 20 people, and these guys rocked. So I'm
Huh.
glad that the mistake happened and I discovered this band by accident. So
And you're saying blues. Are we talking like blues rock? I mean, am I
blues
talking,
rock,
am
12
I,
bar blues, Paul Butterfield.
oh, nice.
They do I'm a Ram covered. They do Stand Around Crying. They do Dear Mr. Fantasy on this
Oh, wow.
record.
Cool.
They are badass. The bass player looks like he should be in a reggae band.
Huh.
They're just awesome. Great affairs. Um, Big Sugar, 500 pounds.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, now I'm gonna feel trite. Now I feel trite because you're pulling out shit from Canada that nobody's ever heard of, like you always do. It's always got to be some, this band from Indonesia that I really like, that I really, so I'm pulling out what I consider to be a rock staple. And again, I'm feeling trite, but I listened to it the other day. I'm like, I'm picking that, and it's the Beatles' Revolver.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And some people are not Beatle people. Some people aren't Beatle people. Are you not a Beatle person, Kenny?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an enormous Beatles fan.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
there's those schools. There's some cats who are not Beatle people. They are either Stones people or I don't know, maybe Dave Clark 5 people. I don't know how that works, but
Well, I don't want to meet him.
but the thing about Revolver and that's not how I got turned on to the Beatles at all. Um, Revolver came later in my Beatlehood. Um, of course, like I tell the story, I worked my chores at home every week for a Beatle vinyl album. That was what I did until I had all of them. And then I even had like Tony Sheridan and the Beatles and the Silver Beatles and shit before Beatle time. But Revolver, as a kid, I think I leaned more toward we were, early Beatles and then into like, Sergeant Pepper. Revolver took me a while to really dig. And then once I dug it, it became like my favorite Beatle album because there's so much stuff there. There's so much groundbreaking stuff. It's like one of those, when people goes, what album would you take to a, deserted island or whatever? Revolver's good because it covers a lot of, if I got a rock, even heavy, quote unquote, heavy metal, right? There's stuff on there that rocks and is heavy. And there's, psychedelic stuff and there's more laid back stuff and acoustic stuff. And a couple of my favorite Beatles songs are on there, I mean, And Your Bird Can Sing is on Revolver.
Yeah.
And that's such a great tune.
One of my favorite Beatles songs.
Me too.
Definitely a top fiver.
I would say that for me too. She Said's on there. And then Leo, the weirdness of like even the intro to Taxman, right? That's 1, 2, the count, and boom, it's just it's killer. It's I'm sure, obviously every list about music mentions Revolver, I think, but I forget just what a kick-ass rock and roll record it is.
It is. You are not wrong.
It's groundbreaking. All right. So Kenny, what's your pop pick?
I went power pop. And again, man, that could have been, I could have chosen anything from the early Beatles record to Star or somebody like that. But and sticking with 1973, I went with the Raspberries side
Oh,
3. To me, man, that's
Nice.
like instruction manual on how to make power pop records. It's a great album. Even the songs that weren't singles on there sound like singles for the most part, man. And you just can't beat it, man. Early Jimmy Ienner production on it, and it's great, man.
and a hugely influential record, or band rather, I should say.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Because as me, as a hairband dude, right? Poofy hairband dude. Um, a lot of that stuff, those guys would name check. Fuck, the crew would cover the Raspberries.
yeah,
Those bands, people forget that, I think because the image of that kind of music, became so prominent, you forget that it's not like Motley Crue were influenced by Rat or whatever, they were of an age where
right.
bands like the Raspberries and the Sweet and the blah, 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 Mott the Hoople and Bowie and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, I can remember as a kid, you'd read Circus magazine and here's these bands name checking the Raspberries,
Yeah,
and that's killer. That's a great, you know what? I should have more Raspberries. I'm writing that down right now.
it's just a great
Yep.
record, man. And, they don't get they did not get enough. They should have blown up and didn't. And this was the first one where they really weren't trying to be the Beatles.
Right.
And it really starts to show. They definitely leaned into that harder rock a little bit more, which made those songs really smack. Just a great album. Great album.
Yeah.
Barely
Killer.
a bad song on there.
Killer. Yep. Big band.
Yep.
Big band that didn't, like you said, just didn't get what they deserve. What's your pop pick, Scott?
I went power pop as well with the Cars self-titled record.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
blueprint stuff.
Yep.
just guys that don't get name checked that from that band, Elliot Easton, David Robinson, the drummer. I mean, my goodness.
Again, you just said it too, guys that don't get name checked enough because, Elliot Easton, Ben Orr, of course, was kind of it's hard to say who. It depends on what era you liked the Cars, who you would say was the vocal poet, the figurehead of the Cars. Because
the
in the 80s,
biggest were this one, and then probably with the resurgence with Heartbeat City, I would guess. Candy-O was a pretty big record.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't know if it was as big as Heartbeat City might have been their biggest. I'm not sure.
I would think.
But this one is front to back, just so good.
Elliot Easton's the coolest too. He is cool shit.
The production, everything is just phenomenal.
Who produced those Cars records?
I'm not
Thomas
sure.
Baker on that, I think.
Oh, Roy. Oh, he just passed away.
I believe he produced that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just watched something on like Facebook or something, and it was that Shred with Shifty show. The guy from the Foo Fighters has like I don't know if it's a podcast, video, whatever it is, but he had Elliot Easton on, and it was really cool.
Yeah, fantastic player.
And I met him. My band opened up for Creedence Clearwater Revisited, and I don't know, I'm gonna say hovering in that like 1996 era, maybe even earlier than that. And again, I'm a huge CCR fan, and of course I could bellyache about, there's no John Fogerty or whatever. Well, who cared, man? It was, Stu Cook and Doug Clifford were going to be there, right? And I knew they'd have a cool singer, but I didn't know who was playing guitar. And we get to the venue, and it's fucking Elliot Easton, dude. And they're sound checking. It was really good. My buddy, who I was playing with, we were both and he's passed since, but we were both left-handed. So my buddy had a 53, 54 gold top Les Paul beat up, pitched it to Elliot Easton, like, hey man, what do you think? And the dude was kind of like, yeah, it's all right. It's in a little bit, kind of bad shape or whatever. And I think they exchanged, numbers or whatever. Nothing ever became of it. My buddy pitched that gold top to Paul McCartney too.
No.
like through mail, like, you want to buy my gold top Les Paul. So yeah, I love the Cars, man. I do. That's a great band. In that same vein, because I went power pop as well, and also as an artist who I think does never gets name checked enough in power pop, etc. I have the self-titled album by Marshall Crenshaw,
Oh yeah.
which is, I mean, he's one of our boys too, up in Michigan here. Marshall Crenshaw's our guy. But that had all those kind of classic Marshall tunes. There She Goes Again, and Someday, Some Way, and Cynical Girls on there. There's a killer cover of Soldier of Love, which I remember the Beatle cover of, the Beatles doing.
We have a listener down in Kalamazoo, Michigan, that his cousin is Marshall Crenshaw.
No way, really?
Yeah. Our listener Tony down in Kalamazoo.
No
What's up,
shit.
Tony?
My Marshall Crenshaw story is the guy this rich guy in my town who hired Marshall Crenshaw to play his wife's 40th or 50th, maybe 50th birthday party. They had connected in college over Marshall Crenshaw. Like I don't know, let's just say Someday, Some Way was playing and they both connected and over it and liked the song. So he pays Marshall Crenshaw to come to his house and play her birthday party. Wow. And I feel like it was just Marshall Crenshaw. And I feel like it was $5,000, something like that. Dude comes, Marshall Crenshaw, and I get a call from a buddy who says, hey man, Marshall Crenshaw needs a guitar tech and someone to run the PA. And I'm booked, of course. I have a gig, and I'm like, called that gig. I'm like, I'm out. I ain't gonna be there. I'm not showing up, right? So I go to these people's house. I set up a PA, and this rental car pulls in. It's Marshall Crenshaw. He's got 2 guitars on his back, got a baritone guitar and 6-string, both electric, as I recall. Maybe he brought an amp. I don't remember. But he's like, we meet. I tune up his guitars. I mistuned his baritone twice. Twice, dude. Twice. It's still, I'm going to go to my grave and I'll be the dude who fucked up Marshall Crenshaw's guitar. But he plays, and it turns out that the wife and the husband only knew that song. Their friends, their rich friends, didn't know any of the songs. Enough that a dude came up to him and requested, and straight-faced, requested a Skynyrd tune. Marshall Crenshaw, one of the greatest songwriters, is sitting in your backyard and your friends are talking, requesting Skynyrd tunes. It was gross. I was sitting off the side of this little stage they built. So he starts looking at me going, John, what do you want to hear? So for the whole night, dude, I got to call tunes. He played I'm Sorry, So Was Brenda Lee, which is one of my favorite songs of his. Played everything off this record. He played Wanda and Dwayne, the Dave Alvin tune. It was killer. It was killer. He made $5,000. I got a free Marshall Crenshaw concert, and I embarrassed myself in front of Marshall Crenshaw.
Make the set list too.
And it was awesome. And he's just the dude. He's the dude. He sings with the Smithereens from time to time now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, great power pop guy. All right, so we're on to our rap and R&B. Kenny, what you got?
Well, again, that's kind of a broad term, and
right.
Rap and hip hop music is not my favorite type. While I do like disparate albums and things like that, I don't have the knowledge that I have of a lot of other kind of music. So I went with a little off center. I went with the Hardcorps, Death Before Dishonor. That's it was straight up rap. Everything was rap. There was no singing. They had a DJ, but they had the bass player, a drummer, and a guitar player. And so it's kind of like a hard rock thing, but everything was hip hop and everything.
Nice.
And they were from here. I actually was pretty good friends with the bass player, and but they got their first album came out on Interscope, and it was produced by Jam Master Jay.
Holy cow,
man! You can't get it on iTunes or any of that stuff. It's just it's a lot of people have posted it on YouTube. I've noticed. I still have the disc, but man, it's really fucking cool, man. They do a cool cover of Back in Black on there and get Dizzy D from Brittany Fox does the Back in Black. It's
really
cool.
Oh,
man.
Nice.
But it's just a great record, man. It sounds really good. they were really entertaining to watch. And like I said, it's authentic hip hop. It's just doesn't, it's just got the real drums and guitar and stuff behind it.
Killer.
It's cool. And
And it's got Dizzy Dean from Britney Fox,
Dizzy
man.
yeah, he's on
Dean.
that one song. But man, I think if you look it up on YouTube, I think you'll enjoy it if you like any of that kind of stuff, because
Yeah.
it's really interesting. It's very cool.
That's awesome.
That's my pick. Came out in '91.
Wow, that is
All right.
awesome. Wow. What do you got, Scott?
Mine is a Motown type of record. It's from a band called the Honeycomb. They had a record called Sweet Replies. That was my introduction to the band, and their hit song is called Want Ads. You hear it at the grocery store. I mean, you'll hear it everywhere.
Yeah, I have a cursory knowledge of them, but I haven't heard that album all the way through.
It's so good. I have a bunch of their stuff. But yeah, they do like covers Son of a Preacher Man. They do that on some of other stuff I have, but Sweet Replies is a phenomenal studio album. Their main singer was oh God, her name was Edna Wright.
Hmm.
But the Honeycomb is a overlooked. If you're a fan of like the Supremes and stuff like that, the Honeycomb is a fantastic 70s R&B
Nice.
band.
Nice. Well, I again, this seems predictable, but I was trying to, and I guess it was just over the last week or two, stuff I'd kind of thrown on and listened to. And I was explaining to the kids in my school who, I don't know, man, I'm old, so I say stuff like, "Oh, you guys you don't listen to the right hip hop or whatever." Because there's not hip hop anymore. That doesn't really exist. It's like this new thing that's, I don't know what they call it even.
Mumble rap and
Yes, mumble rap or something. It's really weird.
There's still good hip hop out there.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, I'm not buying it, because I just don't listen that much. But I do. I tried to think about hip rap music or whatever mattered to me as a kid or that I was into, and I asked them. I said, "Do you guys know the Beastie Boys?"
Oh,
And a
wow,
bunch
yeah.
of them did not.
Wow.
Had no idea who that was. They also didn't know who Eazy-E was. Isn't that weird? That just seems like you would know that. But I put License to Ill on there because it's why I'm even talking about a rap record, if you're thinking about it. I mean, yeah, I liked NWA when it came out, and Public Enemy and all that.
Yeah.
But I got all that. I can't pretend that I was out in the gritty streets of playing street hockey and also rapping, hitting. I mean, Grandmaster Flash and all that stuff played at the skating rink,
Yeah.
and we still had there was early LL Cool J and Ice-T
Yeah.
and all that stuff for sure. But Beasties were the one that kind of bridged that gap for guys like me. And I tried to think of why. Like, why was that? It was, and then part of me, I honestly was like, well, they were white guys, but it was the samples, dude. It was the samples. It was the fact that Bonham kick drum, right? They sample When the Levee Breaks for a tune. There's the, what I think they sample the ocean on there.
Yep.
And I knew that, right? I knew that music. So it was a nice bridge. And then they had the video where Kerry King took the solo. He came out.
Yeah.
So when you're a metalhead like I was, that's in that world, you got to be really careful. You can't just be out at a kegger spouting off about the Beastie Boys. You just can't do that kind of stuff, or rap music, or you can't tell anybody that you're rocking Men at Work at home either. You could liable to get your ass beat. But like really, I had friends. I remember getting Men at Work cargo, and dudes were like not happy with me. Like I had somehow broke some cardinal rule.
Yeah.
You certainly weren't. I certainly wasn't, at a party going, "Hey man, are you guys getting that new Duran Duran? Because it's really good." But Beastie Boys kind of let us do that. So that was my rap pick.
That's a good choice.
What do you got? What's a country pick for you, Kenny?
I'm a huge country music fan, or what used to be country music. So I had a struggle with picking one, but I went with Waylon Jennings' "Dreaming My Dreams." I think it's the greatest country record ever made, man, and it's just a great album from start to finish, man. If you don't like that, then you wouldn't like anything else that he did, in my opinion. And then he was 22 albums in when he made that record, man.
Dude had
Wow.
what? I mean, like Willie Nelson too. And a lot of those guys, like Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, a couple of those guys had like two careers. There
Yeah,
was that early George
yeah,
Jones is a great example.
yep.
Conway Twitty, these dudes who had like rockabilly careers and then country careers, and then still managed somehow to make records in the 70s and 80s that people, it's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. Well, you know, it was all that controlled by the record label, and
Right?
they went through the whole, you know, with the trying to make him Jim Reeves is what they wanted everybody to be.
Right.
And then when that outlaw country thing happened, they just, I mean, that particular era right there was when he um, basically forced RCA to let him use his own band,
Use his
and he
band.
could record wherever he wanted to, because they wanted everything recorded at Studio B all the time around here, you know.
Yep.
And he said, no, fuck that. I'm using my band, or I'm not making this record. And
Do you
I
Yeah.
guys
think he ended up winning Entertainer of the Year that year, or something like that. But I mean, he'd already had a couple of big hits before that, but he was off and running. And it's just a great album. It's got, you know, Hank Done It This Way up
oh,
there, and Waymore's Blues. And it's just every song is just like, oh man, I know that one. I know that one. It's great. And then I feel like, man, the title track is the best country ballad I've ever heard, man. And so I love that album. I love everything about it. I just like looking at the cover, man.
oh man, he's
Great.
Waylon Jennings in my house is I mean that is spoken with reverence. I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah,
got a
I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
young drumming son, you know, he my proudest moment is my son and I play music together, and he is good enough on the drum set to play Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way the right way without doing anything else. You know, that kick is just, it's just that for a lot, you know.
Yeah, that's the Richie Albright special right there, man.
All that. I wonder if like Ralph Mooney was in, you know, played steel with Waylon all those times.
Yeah, he was on all those records.
Um, that that drum sound, that the only way and I've tried to describe this a million times, that drum sound that you don't hear anymore. It's hard to get. Everything sounds like it was recorded in a club that was all
Carpet. Yeah.
carpet everywhere, low ceilings. It just, the kick drum sounds back then just were, I mean, they were kind of, think about, Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way? There ain't a lot. It's pretty thump, just,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
sounds so killer and warm. And, you know, I don't know how they even fit instruments around it, you know? But I
Well,
think that's why Waylon's guitar, like up there, so kind of snappy and twangy, sat nice because it was above those drum frequencies, you know?
he put that Phase 90 on
Oh,
almost every single thing he did, man. And they just got into a groove of basically turning that band into a musical tapestry. They knew how to set that stuff in the mix.
I just, that, as a matter of fact, Scott has recently scolded me because
Two,
my country picks for about what 4 times of this were Waylon records,
two in a
and then
row.
2 in a row, and then I actually I used Billy Joe Shaver as the next one, even though Honky Tonk Heroes was my pick before that. Um,
That's a
just
great
all
record.
that Waylon, even, you know, I just watched him at the US Festival on YouTube. You know, I think he's in a members only jacket, but he came and he was still. What I was trying to explain to someone is a lot of those cool, like I have a band with my son. We do Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line, and that solo, that's Waylon, dude. That's
Yeah,
Waylon on guitar. You forget he's a phenomenal guitar player. He was obviously a bass player. He played, you know, played for
yeah,
Buddy Holly,
Buddy Holly.
a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
and he's just the blueprint for me.
Yeah,
He's
me
the
too.
blueprint.
Me
He's,
too.
and I love Willie Nelson and I
Me
love
too.
David Allen Coe, and I love those artists. But for me, that whole thing is kind of brought together by Waylon. I think Waylon is the guy. You
Yeah,
know,
I totally agree.
God, what a great pick. What do you got for your country pick, Scott?
I have from, as you know, John, one of my all-time favorites, Tom T. Hall. The
Hmm.
record,
Oh yeah.
you could go with any from the 70s. I went with same or New Train, Same Rider, but any from the 70s. I mean, the Magical Music Machine, that record with Mama's Got the Catfish Blues. Just, he's got the song on the first track on the new train, same rider. He's like asking all those guys to move back to Nashville, basically. Come back to Nashville. We cleaned it up and fixed up the bars, and yeah,
He
because all those
again,
guys, in the '70s, a lot of those guys became movie stars or Chris, and they moved away to LA. And
dude, 70s country. The other thing about 70s country is everybody got a TV show.
yeah,
Hell yeah,
Glenn
a lot of
Campbell.
variety shows back then.
A
Yeah.
lot of them, man. The Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour and
Yeah, Johnny Cash had
yeah,
one.
yeah, and look,
Jim
Crystal
Stafford had
Gale.
one.
Crystal Gale had one for Pete's
Yep.
sake, man.
The
but
Mandrells.
The
like
Mandrells. Oh, the
Yeah.
Mandrells was
like
great.
John's love for Bobby Bear and Waylon, and I love, not Bobby Bear, Billy Joe Shaver.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm a big Bobby Bear, and I love Tom T. Hall.
Me
Just-
too. Me too.
Tom T. Hall. Well, again, I
That's how I got to Memphis. I think is the
that's
greatest
one of the
country
greatest
song
songs ever
written.
written. Buddy Miller's version of it's killer.
The
My
Cowboy
fr-
and the Poet, man, is one of
Oh.
my favorite country songs, man. He was a great songwriter, man. He could put lyrics
Oh.
together like nobody else.
Pay No Attention to Alice is a
Yeah.
great tune by him, man.
Truckers do that one too.
Yeah, that's a great tune. That's a great tune. Yeah, and that was my first concert. Back then, my old man was in a pretty popular country band around here, and they backed him up. I didn't know what
that's
that
right.
I didn't know what that even meant back then, but I just remember my dad. We're backing up Tom T. Hall, and it was the old man's band played first. They had that song Psycho, which was kind of a regional hit for them, and then they just stayed up, I guess. And like they learned all his shit and they backed him. And I think the other artist on, and I'm not sure if they backed him up, was Ronnie Millsap.
Oh, yeah.
So they just kind
Ronnie Millsap too.
of, they must have just kind of like Chuck Berry, right? You just roll into town and you go, hey man, you better get me somebody who knows these songs.
Yeah. Chart, man,
Which would be really kind of cool to do. It would be nerve wracking. Like, I guess if you do it for Chuck Berry, it's super nerve wracking because he'll change keys and and tempos and everything else. My country pick's a little newer, and I just re-listened to this record. This is a pretty polarizing record too. It kind of revitalized her, but it is polarizing, and it's Loretta Lynn's Van Leer Rose.
Oh God, that record's great.
It's the Jack White record.
Yep.
And the backing bands on it is phenomenal. I think it's those guys that play with him in that
Raconteurs.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know, I played so we were on a Loretta Lynn kick a couple weeks ago, my wife and I, just listening to stuff like One's on the Way, which is one of my favorite Loretta Lynn tunes of all time. So we were listening. I said, hey, you got to hear this. And I played her the Portland, Oregon, that tune off this.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, turn this off. She's like, this is terrible. Don't play this in my house anymore. She did not appreciate it. I thought it was cool. That song Van Leer Rose is beautiful.
I have to go back and listen to that. When it first came out, I did listen to it, but I just don't remember that much about it.
It's a good record.
Put that on my list over here. So.
Yeah, the steel on it's good. That's Dave Feeney. He's kind of a localish guy to us here in Michigan. But it was just nice because I Loretta Lynn, and first of all, growing up in a country household was big. Plus, growing up in the 70s when Coal Miner's Daughter, or early 80s, whenever that came out. I mean, she was huge. Loretta Lynn was huge. And then to have that resurgence, I don't know much about Jack White. I really don't. I don't know if he's dick or if he's cool or whatever. But the fact that he kind of revitalized Loretta Lynn for a new generation's pretty cool, pretty significant.
Yeah.
And it's a good record. So that was my country pick.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Now we're on to our NMD, either an album you really can't live with or something not everybody knows. What's your pick, Kenny?
Man, I could say a million ones, but I was just listening to, and I've loved this album since it came out. The first solo album by Maria McKee. It's just called Maria McKee. God damn, it's a good record, man. The song on that's great. Her voice is like a siren song, man. She's just. I saw Lone Justice open up for Tom Petty back in the
Oh,
80s,
Oh
oh,
wow.
and they were great. And I
oh.
loved those first two Lone Justice records,
Yep.
and they just kind of
Yeah.
went away. And then she just dropped that solo album, and I found out about it, when it came out, and man, that's been one of my, that goes everywhere with me. I love that
Oh.
record, man. There's not a bad song on it. Playing's great. So such a she's got such a well-rounded style of songs on it. Some of it kind of gets into the country thing. Some of it's straight up pop. Some of it's just, it's just a rock and roll type record, man. She's so good.
Didn't didn't she get a bit of a resurgence from the song on Pulp Fiction soundtrack?
She
Uh,
may have. I don't know.
did she have one on there?
I think so, like Love is a Red Dress or something like
Oh,
that.
that's right. I forgot about that. I don't know that she got a resurgence or not. I just you never hear. I saw her on the second album tour. Um, you got to sin to get saved, I think was the name of it,
Yep.
which is also a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
record.
Yep.
And she was great, but I really never heard much about her anymore. And I didn't love that song that much, if I'm remembering right. But
Yeah.
so she may have seen somewhat of an uptick, but she still flies real under the radar. She puts out a record every once in a while, and they're
Still
always
playing.
great.
Yeah, she's still out playing. I know she does
Yeah,
shows
yeah, I'm sure
sometimes.
she is.
Um,
Hope
Yeah.
so, because she's
have
great.
you guys heard her song with Mark Olson and Gary Loris from the Jayhawks? It's called Precious
Really?
Time.
Uh-uh.
Oh, it's killer.
No, I'll
Killer.
check that out. I love
Yeah.
the Jayhawks.
Yeah.
And she's awesome. I mean, we
Yeah.
all love her and I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate. I don't know if you get to say stuff like this 2025, but I mean, crush wise, that first album, her on the cover of that record,
She looked beautiful on there.
that's
Yeah.
crushed stuff. And then, East of Eden was on there, which is just a killer
Oh,
tune and Ways to Be Wicked. Just
yeah,
what
that's
a cool
yeah.
band. Is that the first record? Is that their
First
debut?
record.
Ways to Be
Yeah.
Wicked's on the first Lone Justice album.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Shelter is on. That was the hit off the second Lone
Yes.
Justice album.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the album, I think.
Yeah.
Then she
Killer.
started her solo career. They only had two.
Yep.
How cool to see them open for Petty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that'd be-
awesome, man. That was a
What
great
tour was that, Kenny? Do you
Southern
remember?
accents.
Oh,
It was so good, man. Petty was obviously phenomenal, and they were
Yeah.
at the top of their game. But Lone Justice was really great too, and
he was pretty
and
cool for that. Petty was cool for that, for a cool opener, man. He really brought a lot of cool bands out with him and had good,
Yeah,
even
he had
right
no
up to the
fear,
end.
man. He'd bring the good stuff out.
Yes, he had no. If you're in the Heartbreakers, though, what are you? Yeah,
Who are you going to be afraid of?
who are
right?
you going to be afraid of? They don't make a band you're afraid of. Not if you're in the Heartbreakers, man.
No.
Killer, great pick, great pick. What do you got, Scott?
Mine is a trio from 1970. It's a band called Parish Hall.
Oh yeah. Familiar with them. I
The
think they only
self
have one
it's self
record, right?
Yeah, just this one record. It's like 12 bar blues. If you're into like Cream, Deep Purple, John Mayall, Paul Butterfield, Elvin Bishop, it's all of that.
Have you been riding that hard lately? That
Hard.
genre? I can tell. I can totally tell. When did this start? I feel like because you evolve. I can tell when you're in a spot, and you've been rocking that pretty hard lately.
Yeah, I
You've
don't
been-
know how I think this came on. I was listening to like John Mayall and stuff like that on YouTube.
Oh, that'll do it.
And it just came on. You know how they just recommend things for you?
Yep.
And I was just like, what is this? And it was a song called like Skid Row Runner by this band Parish Hall. So I looked it up, and it's a trio from California. I think the record was kind of lost, and somebody just found it and like remastered it and put it out. And it's so good.
Cool.
It's
I
so
used one of their
freaking
songs
good.
on a soundtrack to a movie or a Netflix show or something a couple of years ago.
Huh.
'Cause I
Okay.
remember going, I know that. Who is that?
There's a track on there called "We're Gonna Burn Together" that has like sort of a Zappa feel. It's so cool.
Cool. Wow.
The tones, the guitar tones, the production is just real. It sounds really clean. It's awesome. The solos are good.
I recently bought a Gibson 335, so I've been kind of heading down that wormhole myself. Like that kind of bluesy. You mentioned Clapton and stuff like that. That which is not my main ride. And I mean, I like Cream. I never liked solo Clapton. Even though I played Lay Down Sally in 100 bands, but I I knew you were hitting that pretty heavy, but I feel like you were into that. You were kind of in a spot not too. You were in a real cactus spot not too long ago.
Oh yeah, I'm still into Cactus, and yeah.
Not everybody can say that, Scott, but you can. You were in a real cactus spot. So my last pick, my NMD
I
pick.
thought for sure I was gonna get one by Kenny with Parish Hall. But
No, come on, man. Come on, this
I
is
mean,
Kenny Wright from the Great Affairs, dude.
this
You
the
think
guy
you're
who
gonna
put
slide
the
one
S
of your?
in 70s. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
come
you're
on.
You
gonna
got me with Big Sugar, man, for sure.
you're gonna slide some obscure
Yeah,
70s
Big
shit
Sugar.
like Kenny. Come
You'll
on, man.
you'll like Big Sugar. I guarantee that. Their first track will grab you right
All
away.
right.
You're not gonna be floating that by Kenny Wright. Have some respect.
I
Just
know.
kidding.
Well, I
My
messaged him not too long ago about because he asked me about Terry Reid, and I did not
oh
know
yeah.
about Terry Reid, which I got the first record, and it's amazing. And I asked him if he was into this band Warpig.
Okay.
They're like Sabbathy, Deep Purple-y from Canada, and of course he is.
Of course. Oh, I know those guys. Yeah, of course. These Great Affairs guys are not ones to really. You can't share a whole bunch with these guys.
You
That
can't
they're
get
not
too
gonna.
many by
You can't
him,
slide
no.
many by them. You got to get pretty NMD obscure. So my NMD pick is a band from Raleigh, North Carolina, called the Backsliders,
Yes.
and their album was called "Throwing Rocks at the Moon." It was So I got their hardcore honky tonk. They're a honky tonk band, no doubt about it. Kind of, when Raleigh was really hot, like the Whiskey Town was coming out of Raleigh, Six String Drag, all that alt country stuff was kind of really happening. These guys came out and they were a country band. I mean, they're just a cool hardcore country band. Like I don't even want to say outlaw country because they're not that. It's just, but so I get this record because I'm such a Dwight Yoakam fan and Pete Anderson fan. I was starting to buy records Pete Anderson was producing, and he produced this record.
Huh.
And so I'm listening to it. It's a great record. It's great. Guitar tones are beautiful. It's Pete Anderson, so it sounds good. The song, Chip Robinson is the songwriter, and he writes great songs. But there's this guitar player in the band I just could not get past. He was so good, and I was so into him. He looked cool, and you can't find a bunch of live videos of these bands. They're playing like the local 506 where I would play down in North Carolina. So not huge, but it was Brad Rice.
Ah.
And I'm like, this dude is the coolest dude on earth, right? He's just the coolest guy. And he played guitar for the Backsliders.
Huh.
He was one of the guitar players. And then obviously went on to play with Keith Urban. He played in Sunvolt.
Yeah.
And I'm a big, I like Brad Rice a lot. He's just a cool guitar player. And yeah, it's a great record, great drum sound. You know me for drummers, it's always, do you have a train beat? What's your train beat like? And that there's a lot of great brushwork on it, like country used to be.
Yeah.
So that's usually a standard line is, so who's your favorite drummer? Is it Neil Peart or Levon Helm? That's a good question. And then what's your train beat like? And then I usually go, yeah, man. All right, go sit down. But that Throwing Rocks at the Moon's a great album, great songwriting. And the second one's good too. Second one's called
two
Southern
of their
Lights.
albums.
What ones do you have? Do you remember?
Starvation Box.
Okay.
And one called Bone Crunch that came out in 2020.
They have the Backsliders' most recent album. Roscoe did. Eric Ambel produced it.
Oh, okay.
It has a song called Headlights, a single on it that was really good, and they were starting to play again a little bit more without Brad. Brad wasn't playing with them, but had a cool band, and yeah, great stuff. So, all right, that brings us to the end. We got through. You didn't get anything by Kenny, of course.
Nope.
One. But
Well,
man, we really appreciate you doing this, Kenny. I know. I know you're busy, so thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and
I'm happy to do it. Thank you.
and listen to us nerd out not only about this kind of music, but certainly your band. And I'm excited. because you guys are coming to our area. You're coming up and playing in my town.
Yeah, we're gonna be heading that way, I think.
Really excited. You're gonna love it here. I have planted the flag here, so I'm sure it'll be a good show. Regardless, 17-year-olds don't get excited about anything. They're too cool for excitement. That's not anything that happens does not excite a 17-year-old kid. So I have like a four dates with this Nashville touring girl who's coming up, and it might fall over your show. So I tell my son, I'm like, man, if I'm not playing, of course I'm there. He says, and I quote, "I don't care what you're doing. I'll be there." He said, he's pumped. He's such a huge Great Affairs fan. So he'll be in attendance. Hopefully I will too. And
I'll be there.
Yeah. You're coming up for that, Scott?
I'm going to both.
Killer. I should go to the Vineyards one. And you guys just played at the Shed, right?
We did last with Everclear.
With Everclear.
Was that fun? Was that a good show?
Yeah, it was great, man. It poured, but it did not dampen the spirits. It was packed, and it was great. It was a great show.
I always wonder what it's like to be in the Great Affairs, like when you guys played with Mike Tramp or when you played with Verve Pipe or when you. My guess is this is how I see it happening. I bet you guys finish and you just have to wade through a barrage of people patting you on the back, telling you what a kick-ass rock and roll band you have. I mean, I see that. I mean, who couldn't? If you love rock and roll, and especially well-crafted and with that power pop, but still just rock and roll. There are times you guys sound like, I mean, Exile on Main Street Stones, and there's times that you guys, sound like Big Star to me. I mean, there's that kind of stuff is right up our alley, and I think that's why Scott and I are both so fanatical. Is you guys scratch a lot of itches for us, for sure. So
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate you, and we're excited to see the show and wish you continued success, of course. Anything you want to pitch, Kenny? Anything you gotta tell the folks about?
Man, just we got shows coming up this summer. Some of them I can't announce yet because we don't have contracts on them, but they are happening. But they're much bigger shows than what we're generally accustomed to doing. So, but we'll be up there with the Verve Pipe. We got a outdoor festival in Huntsville, I think, with Brother Kane.
Ooh.
A few other standalone shows at some of the places that, like John Brown's on the Square in Marion, Illinois, and things like that. Then we got these other gigs that are coming up that'll be fun. And we're not working on a new record as of yet. I'm still working on my solo album. That should be done soon.
Nice.
Nice. We look forward to that for sure.
Yeah, so
I wonder if
that
Brother Kane show. I think the last time, first of all, there's a band that's still delivering the goods. Damon Johnson's always delivering the goods. Always.
Yeah, he's always really good, man. He just comes out and does his thing, and he's really damn good at it.
And I think he's playing his second guitar is Tony Higbee's on guitar.
Yeah, or he was playing bass.
He's been doing guitar with them.
I saw him open up for Michael Schenker a couple years ago. Tony was playing bass. But they were just a three-piece.
Yeah.
And then, so I think, but I don't think Tony's doing the Brother Kane gigs. I think somebody else is doing it. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Well, and I get a little confused too, because I'll see Damon Johnson out with sometimes he'll do like the Thin Lizzy thing, he'll have that Brother Kane, he'll have solo shows. But the thing I like about him and about that kind of music too is it's pretty timeless, right? I mean, it's Les Pauls and Marshalls and kick-ass playing and great vocals and again that whatever, I can't think of the title of that Brother Kane record, the first one that had Hard Act to Follow. I mean, great band. So cool. Well, Kenny, again, thank you so much for being here. And Scott, yeah, you do the same, buddy. You got any parting words for us, Scott?
I got one hand in my pocket, and the other hand is showing Alanis Morissette what ironic means in the dictionary.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
See you next time, everybody.